think talking about coffee, I think what's worse than Starbucks is, to me, the biggest curse is the 3-in-1. I could
3-in-1.
totally eliminate. Sorry, I don't know. Please do not serve 3-in-1. It's to me the biggest blight of our. You're talking about the coffee thing. You know what 3-in-1 does? It's other than killing us, because you are consuming chemicals. You're not consuming real food. Please, that's my #1 thing. Let's go back to food. Not chemicals, not artificial flavorings. Go back to plants, fruits, trees. Save our trees. If you stop eating, if you just keep eating more in your sinigang, you're going to kill guavas, you're going to kill tamarind. That's basically what I'm all about, right? And the one thing that 3-in-1 is killed is the painita. Okay, because that has been one of the most traditional ways that not only for people to drink coffee in the rural provinces, but to get together around. Even the communal feeling of a painitan is gone. So all you have, what are they selling you? They're selling you convenience. Okay? What you are giving up in exchange for convenience is, first of all, supporting your coffee farmers. Secondly, destroying your community, destroying social relationships. And I think, to me, that is one of the most basic problems that we have, is that social relationships are tattered, like very fragile. And when people lose social relationships or feelings of community, that's when a lot of things can happen. A lot of bad things can happen. And to me, food, that's what food does. When I say bring back the food, because my thing is bring back the food of our forefathers. Because I equate culinary preservation with health, with community, with nurturing. Food means nurturing, nourishment. Okay? It is not an object. It is not a source of profit. So whenever I buy anything, I look at every peso, every dollar that I have. Where is this going to? If you buy a can of Coke, it goes out of the Philippines. It goes to the multinational corporations. So I buy calamansi. I will buy local herbs. Teas that local producers do. And one of the concrete ways that I am pursuing my advocacy is establishing community kitchens. And we have a pilot project in Dumaguete. And in fact, one of the people working very closely with me is in the coffee industry. You probably know her. Do you know Besa? Yeah. She wants to start a painitan in Dumaguete. And she was the one telling me, how they used to make coffee with the Mencias or something, and it's a big, it's a big ritual, and they said so many coffee forests in Dumaguete are there. And I'm working with Diliman University, because they were gonna build a community kitchen in their wellness clinic in Davao, owned by Diliman. And I sort of berated the president. I'm working very closely with them. Said, why does the cafeteria of City not serve clean? There's so much coffee in here. Why don't you patronize your own people, your own farmers? So the concept of a community kitchen, a lot of people are saying, what is a community kitchen? Okay, that's basically my presentation. I'll just give my main concept, and hopefully, because the main concept is just a concept, okay? And then you can apply that in every locality depending on the needs and the context of the community that you're building it in. But a community kitchen, for one thing, the most basic thing is a physical site. Where you can control the conditions, okay? And it's a place where people can cook good food, real food, and not expensive. Because one of the things we want to break, because we're also dealing with a lot of mindsets. I think that's one of the biggest problems all of us will have to face. Breaking mental barriers or like myths, wrong ideas. And one big myth I want to break is that if you're poor, you have to eat bad. If you're poor, you cannot afford good food. That is not true. Our country is so full of eco-diversity. There is no reason people should starve. Because anything can grow 12 months a year, and one problem why we have malnutrition in poor areas is a lack of diversity of foods. And one thing we have found out through our nutritionist partners is that when they travel all over the country, poor people just eat one thing day in, day out, to become bone or fish. And they don't have diversity in their diet. So that's one thing. So what we want to do in a community kitchen is be able to pool our resources together, and then be able to gather a lot of ingredients from the environment, and then give them the ability to cook different dishes out of that. And it could be very simple. We're not talking about very fancy meals, but delicious meals because you're using real food, and look at all using different rice varieties, looking at different herbs and plants and fruits around just around the neighborhood. And then we're partnering with organic farmers. If we're gonna pull our resources together, we're gonna buy ingredients from organic farmers because we want to encourage people to be not just, I don't want to say organic, but people who practice good environmental practices like being natural. Because what happens is that there are farmers who want to be good and then their neighboring farmers don't, who put fertilizers and pesticides. It cannot be organic or natural if you have a neighboring farmer that puts pesticides and fertilizers on their farm, because the wind, water, soil will get all that. You get the runoff. Right? So that, and then aside from the physical side where we will teach sanitation, good sanitation practices, we will have running water, good plumbing, so that they can have very good toilet facilities separate from the cooking. So that at least, when people cook there, they will learn certain basic habits. Proper refrigeration of food, proper techniques, and then proper ventilation, because most poor women all over the world die of lung cancer, just inhaling from, the fumes of their cooking. So, and then, other than that, there's the aspect of the community, because since the university is involved, we're going to involve different departments of the university, business, so that if people want to become vendors or to establish livelihoods from food, we will train them. And then my concept is that it's a long-term relationship. And I think as far as advocacies are concerned, the problem I find with most advocacies is very short-term. But I am in there for the long term. And that's what I'm trying to tell everyone. Look, if we're going to help you be a vendor, we're in it for good, okay? Every time you need help, there's the business department, that can teach you accounting, can help you with with your business practices. And there's the nutrition department that's going to be there to tell you whether your food, what you're cooking is good for your children or nutritious. So it's all that. And then we're also going to involve civil society, different elements of society there. So that, when I was growing up, our neighborhood in Malate was a composite of the society. We had poor people beside us, we had very rich people beside us. Like at least we saw each other and we used to play with the kids. Didn't matter what social economic strata you came from. So now I think what happened is that the rich are gated in their villages, and the poor are very poor. And the poor people have no access to like the networks that many of us have. So through that, I want to create interaction among all the social economic strata, so that there is a relationship, and people will become communities, no matter who you are, what economic class you come from. And it's all food, related to food, because food is very unifying. It's not, like if you say, I want to preserve my culinary heritage, nobody's going to vilify you for that. It's a unifying factor. It is not polarizing, because other issues could polarize people. But I feel that with food, it's the easiest way to put people together.
Maybe let's open up again for 5 minutes. People have responses or reactions, or maybe questions. I know some of you weren't here when Amy was introduced, but she's a restaurateur. She runs a restaurant in New York City, and she also is the founder of the culinary. It's called Sariling Atin. It's a culinary heritage institute, and she spent years researching food. Traditional ways of cooking across the Philippines. So she's I think if people have questions sort of about what culinary heritage might look like, she can maybe.
I forgot one main thing, and I think some people have raised, like what else do we lack? What we lack, and that is what I'm also very interested in doing, is creating markets. That's what I want to do, because we're also going to open a couple of restaurants in Manila, and our goal is to develop a new business model for food business, which is to establish relationships with reliable producers. Because what I want to do is, okay, if you come to my restaurant, you can be rest assured that the food I'm going to give you came from producers that I personally know, and I have personally vetted, that they are not going to poison you, I'm not going to poison you with my food, because I know personally this farmer that gave me this food. And I've been here for the last 5 months, and I've been going around meeting with farmers and meeting with livestock producers, and developing relationships with them so that I can monitor. Like I want to I want to support this goat farmer. He's dying. He says, I have no market. I said, I'll support you. That's why I've been buying his goat. I'm doing fundraiser dinners for Yolanda victims, and I'm gonna buy his goat and cook his goat for the dinners. For one dinner. And the relationship I want to develop with him is that I can say, look, what are you feeding the goats? Okay, how are you treating the goats? And I think if you show this producer that I am in this with you for the long term. I can help you develop markets. Then he will respond and he will listen to what I say. That will make sure that he has good practices. So I think that's, if other chefs and business owners can get that kind of outlook, then we just might be able to do it. You know? And I think that's what we need, a good market. You know, there's so many people like you doing good stuff, but there's no connection to the market. You're not even making a dent in the domestic market. So if you start doing the domestic market, then you can hit the international market. Because you know, all the products that we have here, it's so much in demand in the United States. People would love to get these products, but they're not accessible. For example, the brown rice of the Philippines can have a huge market in the United States. You know why? Because all the organic brown rice they've been growing in the United States, unfortunately, they were growing them in the, formerly the cotton plantations of the South, and they have high levels of arsenic. So they found that out. Organic, they were selling organic brown sugar syrup put in infant formulas. So everybody was buying it, buying brown rice because it's organic. They didn't realize that because of what has been there for generations is now in the price. So nobody's buying that now. So that's an opportunity for brown rice producers here. Things like that. And then, you know, like I was able to find someone who manufactures laundry powder made out of coconut. And that could be a huge market in the United States. If we could just develop that method, you know, so much. You know, all it needs is somebody to put it together with the political will and the money, because it's already there. It's markets.
Okay, go ahead. Question.
Yes, yeah. My name is Chen, Mencias, a tourism planning consultant. I just want to ask if you're familiar with the term local or cooking. Probably heard about that yet. Because local or cooking is being promoted
You
here.
have to be in a cave, not
No, I'm not too familiar with it. I was introduced to it about 2 months ago by probably you know Kenny Reyes, the sister of Basil of Botis and Paz. She's managing, and her partner is managing bed and breakfast in Nueva Ecija,
Oh,
and they're into permaculture, and she's
I just met this woman, Fabio.
That's the neighbor of
Oh my God, she was devastated. I saw her at Organic Expo. And I told her I'd support her. You know, when we open, I'll just use all her products.
But this woman who's managing Tuwak, the bed and breakfast in Cabiao, is into local or cooking, and she actually organizes cooking lessons in her, but they're transferring to Liban now. They sold the property, and they're sold them.
That's the concept of the community kitchen, because we don't want people to spend a lot of money on ingredients. So the first thing that we have to do for Sariling Atin, like all our communities, is ingredient identification for each community. Then you know what grows around you, and that's what you're going to do. But in the Visayas, like for example in Dumaguete, there's so many organic farmers there. I mean, you won't, that's why, you know, the Philippines, it's a perfect locavore area. Everything grows. You know, look at, you're not like Denmark or, you know, like the Scandinavian where they can produce fantastic food by eating wood or something. I mean, we don't have to even do that. Like around UP, you can forage in this community, in this campus, and survive. So,
linking that now with the devastation that happened in Luzon, for example. people are so dependent on what comes from the factory, so now they're hungry because they don't have, food. And, well, even if you have a farm, it's been devastated. But, based on my experience, sometimes nature takes care of itself and it heals fast, nature heals fast, as long as it's not humans that create the destruction. Because I have some sites in the Pablos chicken areas, and that's what I've observed. Plants started to grow faster than expected. And maybe this is an opportunity to introduce this kind of thinking, because now we don't really have to depend on those, 3 and 1, and because I noticed people are repacking things in Ateneo, I just came from Ateneo, and they're 3 and 1s. So, yeah, it's sort of
Please,
perhaps,
get rid of the 3-in-1.
but I think this is an opportunity, a huge opportunity to, change the mindset of people and now be more local, like permaculture, for example, use your own food, so, you can survive, you have better chance of surviving. Right?
I think that's the problem, that all the products from multinational corporations are so pervasive that we don't even think about it, like it's automatic. It's the easiest, see, it's the thing of convenience and being cheap. And this is my message to people, if you think you're eating cheap, it's not cheap. Because if you get sick, it's not cheap. And then you're destroying the economy too. You're removing jobs from people who can be manufacturing that locally. Yeah, so it's not cheap. Yeah.
Maybe this is a good transition